morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today for this discussion on South Africa's proposed national health insurance. My name is Chris Hattingh. I'm Deputy Director here at the Free Market Foundation. We used to have lots of events every month here at the FMF, so this is the first one we've had in about a year now. So we're really very grateful for those of you who are here today, starting off what we hope to be another good streak and a good trend in terms of people coming to our event. So thank you very much. To those of you joining us online, thank you as well. You're very used to doing live podcasts, so I almost started this session by saying welcome to the Free Marketeers, but at least I didn't do that. So those of you who are here live on YouTube, thank you very much for being here. For the media joining in, if you have any questions, please just put your name and your publication in the comment section on YouTube, and I'll present those questions to the speakers at the end of the day in our final session. Just a final point as well for those of you who are here and those online, if you want to tweet about the event, you can tag the FMF at FMF South Africa with your insightful comments and analysis. Maybe tag our Minister of Health, who's busy with his own news this week, but let's see if we can keep him busy with some other thoughts to keep his mind occupied. Just a final note on our speakers, of course, we have Michael Setas, who's a member of the Free Market Foundation's Health Policy Unit. We also have Patrick Brasher, Director at Norton Rose Fulbright. And finally, we have Professor Alex van den Heever from WITS, and he will join us later today. Now on to my short introduction and overview, just to give you an idea of the FMF's position on the NHI, and then we'll get on to Mike Setas. So why host this event now? There's a few other things in the news, of course. South Africa is now dealing with its third wave of COVID cases, so there's a lot to occupy South Africans' minds, of course. But we believe healthcare is probably one of the most important things in people's lives. That's why the FMF believes we should always be talking about the NHI and how new policies might affect people's healthcare. Few things are as important to people as their healthcare. The FMF believes we can contribute in a meaningful way, in a rational and moral way, to solving the country's economic and social problems. And finally, in a world recovering from COVID, we believe that policies underpinned by the following will alleviate South Africa's problems: free markets, free minds, and free people. The current state of play, the state is unfortunately at the moment, as a rule, incapable of running many things, and it's also running out of funding. The inefficiencies and tragedies associated with the public healthcare sector are becoming all too common. Eskom's debt, we heard yesterday that Eskom managed to slash about 80 billion from their debt bank, which is a credit to the CEO, Andre de Ruyter, but it's of course nowhere near where it should be, and we don't think that creating a new SOE in the form of the NHI will go any way to solving South Africa's debt burden. And also the NHI won't solve the country's increasing health misspend, and for that we refer to the latest report from the Auditor General that we also encourage all of you to go and read in terms of the different departments and how they're misspending their health allocations. The over-involvement of the state tends to lead to less desirable outcomes. There is no objective reason to believe that the NHI will perform better than the country's other SOEs. There is, of course, great room for improvement in the public healthcare sector and in the private sector. We shouldn't discount that. But there is no reason to presume that nationalizing the management of all healthcare in the hands of state bureaucracy will solve these problems. This is, in effect, what the NHI would entail. The FMF's alternatives and alleviating measures, the power in the hands of the citizen. Financing healthcare for the poor, preferably via state-sponsored vouchers, which the indigent can spend where they choose. Encouraging more private hospitals by deregulating the industry and eliminating certificates of need. Reducing prices and increasing healthcare quality through increased competition. Allowing the private sector to train doctors and nurses. The country is suffering from a shortage of doctors and nurses. We need to make it as easy as possible for people to be trained. Encouraging income-producing medical tourism. Retaining skilled South Africans and attracting others by removing the limit on skilled foreign doctors. Deregulating medical schemes so they can offer their clients exactly what they want. Deregulating pharmacies. Removing price controls, which send mixed messages to the industry. The Minister of Trade and Industry, Minister Patel, recently spoke about increased localization measures, and we think that kind of thing points exactly in the wrong direction. Speeding up registration of clinical trials, giving those who pay for their own healthcare a tax deduction, strengthening IP rights that encourage innovation, better products, and ultimately lead to cost savings, And finally, probably the most important, allowing low-cost benefit options. The NHI is not the kind of structural reform that South Africa needs. We hear the buzzword of radical economic transformation and radical structural reform quite a lot, but we don't think that policies and ideas that increase the power of the state are the kind of structural reform that the country needs. South Africa should not pursue policies and plans that could add to the growing debt to GDP ratio, placing a greater burden on future generations. NHI will not alleviate the problems in the public healthcare sector, nor those in the private sector. It will not solve current corruption-associated hurdles, and as I mentioned again, the Minister of Health, according to Daily Maverick, has been implicated in some dealings in the last while, so we don't see any reason to think that concentrating power in the hands of the state will lead to better outcomes in terms of things like state capture. South Africa needs policies that unlock and encourage economic activity, job creation, and progress. We need dynamism, not stagnation. And finally, the NHI is not the appropriate vehicle for South Africa to attain better universal health coverage. A final thought in terms of risk versus reward. If we implement the NHI and we get it wrong, as the FMF expects we will, it will be almost impossible to get rid of. So we must actively avoid adopting it. It will be impossible to get rid of because the moment it is implemented, citizens will be paying into it and expecting to get something out of it. The system will usually fail them, but they will not want it abolished because of the money they've already sunk into it. We should rather not go down this unfortunate route to begin with. The NHI is ipso facto a terrible idea. Thank you.